Find the first 12 derivatives for the function f of x equals cosine x, then determine the 100th derivative f100 of x. So f of x equals cosine x, just like sine x, will have a pattern to its derivatives. Its first derivative will be negative sine x. Its second derivative, the derivative of the first derivative, will be a negative times the derivative of sine, which is cosine. The third derivative is the derivative of the second derivative. The negative comes along, the derivative of cosine is negative sine, so altogether we will end up with positive sine. The fourth derivative, the derivative of the third derivative, derivative of sine, will be cosine. So we return back to cosine, which means that the fifth derivative will be like the first derivative, and it will be negative sine. The sixth derivative will be like the second derivative and be negative cosine. The seventh derivative will be like the third derivative and be positive sine. The eighth derivative will be like the fourth derivative and like the original function and be cosine of x. The ninth derivative will be just like the fifth and the first derivative and be negative sine x. The 10th derivative will be just like the sixth and the second derivative and be negative cosine of x. And then the 11th derivative will be just like the seventh and the third derivative and be sine x. And by the 12th derivative, we will return back to the start again, and we will match the 8th derivative, the 4th derivative, and the original function, cosine of x, to start the pattern over again. And it cycles through every 4 derivatives back to the original to match the original function. And therefore, we can take a high-order derivative, any high-order derivative that we want. If the derivative that we take is divisible by 4, every 4th derivative will return it back to the original. If it goes 1 beyond that, if it's divisible by 4 with a remainder of 1, it will go to equivalent to f prime. Remainder of 2 will be equivalent to f double prime, and if it has a remainder of 3, it'll be like f triple prime. We want the 100th derivative, and instead of taking 100 derivatives over and over again, we can speculate, well, 100 is divisible by 4 with a remainder of 0, so this is going to be equivalent to the original function, and therefore it'll be cosine of x.